You're watching The Ryan Silverfield Show, presented by AutoZone.
Fresh off the bye, the Tigers are in the win column for the first time in conference play. We'll recap the victory over USF, sit down with Anthony Lanfear, and look ahead to a home game next Saturday against North Texas. It's The Ryan Silverfield Show. Let's go.
Game is on. The Ryan Silverfield Show is presented by AutoZone. When you've got battery trouble, head to AutoZone, America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Conway Services, official heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric partner of Tiger Athletics. Chick-fil-A, we didn't invent the chicken, just the chicken sandwich. RJ Young, technology solutions that power your business. And by Tennessee Lottery, turning dollars into dreams.
Tigers get a significant victory. Their first in conference. Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Willoshin.
And I'm Doc Holliday. Let's take a look at the highlights.
This game played a day late and moved from Tampa to Orlando because of Hurricane Milton. Big news pregame. USF starting quarterback Byron Brown out with a leg injury. Backup Bryce Archie making his first career start. Memphis got the ball first. We've been looking for some of those explosive pass plays. Here's one. Seth Hennigan to Demir Blankenship, 31-yard score. First touchdown of the season for him, 7-0 Tigers. Later in the first, Bulls looking to get something going. Their leading receiver, Sean Atkins, makes the catch, but gets smacked by Greg Rubin, forced the fumble. Jordan Greer with the recovery, coughs it up himself, trying to make something happen, but gets it back. Tigers take over in great field position. Off the turnover, Hennigan rolls out and finds Mario Anderson, who gets to the pylon for the score. Third straight game with a touchdown for Super Mario. Memphis doubles the lead to 14-0. Now a 14-3 game in the third quarter. Archie heaves it downfield in the face of pressure. That's easy work for Davion Ross. Second interception of the season for him, and he's having some fun on the return as well. Ross eventually going to be tackled near midfield, but not before another forced turnover by Memphis. And let's give the entire defense the nod for keeping cool under pressure. Fourth quarter, Bulls backed up deep in their own territory. Joshua Porter with the catch. Kobe Minor delivers some punishment. Falls out. Chandler Martin falls on it. Originally ruled a safety, then correctly overturned to a touchdown. The Tigers close out a hectic week with their first conference win, defeating USF 21-3 to improve to 5-1 overall.
Coach, this is your 5th year as a head coach at the collegiate level. But really, your career began 25 years ago, 1999. What was it that got you on the path that you are now on?
Yeah, I started coaching spring of my senior year of high school. In reality, I just did it. I had an injury. They said, hey, you probably shouldn't be playing college football. I wasn't a big-time recruit by any stretch of the imagination like some of us in our presence. But the fortune made me go play some small college ball. And, with that, I said, okay, let me see if I can give this coaching thing a try. I love the game, right? I've always loved the game of football. And so I started coaching at my high school in the spring of my senior year. And I went to a small college and said, hey, listen, we'll let you coach while you're there. A Division III school called Hampton-Sydney College in Virginia, very similar to a Rhodes College here locally. So a small college. And then what happened was I said, okay, well, I'm going to major in economics. I'm going to have to find something to do with my life besides coaching. It certainly doesn't pay the bills. It's not maybe a great life, but yeah, I just kind of fell in love with it. I was a student assistant early in my career there, and then at the age of 20, all right, our defensive line job opened up at the college. And so I went and said, I want to interview for this job. So at the age of 20, I was a defensive line coach at a college, kind of stepped away from my studies a little bit more than I should have, became a full-time coach, and the rest is history.
What did the head coach say to you when you at 20 and a player go into him and say, I like that job?
Well, I think part of it was, we knew that we were going to have players that were older than me. And that was what I had to do, was just show maturity, right? Hey, I'm willing to work. I'm putting in the 100-hour work weeks. I'll do whatever I can for this program. And I think part of that was being able to just show who I was prior to getting that job. And it's a guy that I've got a great affirmation for, a guy named Marty Favret. I always tell him, hey, you gave me my first full-time job, and him and I have remained very close since. And It's funny because when I did that, I was still okay. I was a defensive line coach at a small college, and people would still say, well, what do you want to do for a living? And it took about 8 more years, finally, till I got to the NFL. People said, when are you really going to get a real job?
What made you want to stick with coaching? Because you can't tell me, Coach, that them players, man, they wasn't giving you a hard time, cursing you out, like you don't know what you're talking about, who you talking to, because I didn't see it, man.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I'm certainly not the most physically imposing guy either, right? Coaching D-line, they were bigger. But I think part of it, right, one is, and I always said this, even when my first year in the NFL was, man, if you could teach these guys something that's going to make them better, right? First off, showing them your knowledge for the game. Like, hey, if you do this, this can help you. And you couldn't come across, you can't coach them as hard, initially because, right, you got to show them that, hey, this is going to help you. This is going to allow you maybe to get another sack or be able to stop the run. And then ultimately, when it was all said and done, at a young age, I was like, man, I enjoyed this. What I loved was the process of the entire deal. Like, okay, I get to teach this young man how to do things, maybe step this way, use his hand this way. We get to practice, we get to work really hard. And now it's coming to fruition on game day. And so that excitement of watching, being able to teach, I'm probably no different than a math teacher who says, okay, here's how you solve this equation. And then be able to see them able to do it on their own. There's just a sense of pride. And that's kind of what I did. And then as my coaching career grew, I said, wait a second, as I got older and matured, I said, I also get to make a difference in these young men's lives. And to me, Doc, that was as special as anything, right? I mean, having the guys over to my house, be able to teach them, educate them, right? Ultimately, right, wanting them to get their degree, become better husbands and better fathers, and be able to pour into them. And I think, right when it was probably about 23 years old, I said, you know what, I'm hooked. This is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, as long as God willing, and it's been history since.
Which part do you like the most on an everyday basis in coaching? Which do you like the least?
Yeah, well, I think, we've talked about this before on the show, is this job is not just about going on a chalkboard and drawing X's and O's. What's happened is so much is asked about being a head coach. There's days, believe me, I wish I could maybe put my cell phone up, not listen to anybody, go down and just, hey, let me just go coach the defensive line again and get down the nitty gritty and stay down in the film room with these guys, get out on the field, and then go back and repeat. But part of being a head coach, it requires so much different things. I think the thing I still love, it's about relationships to me, right? Being able to spend time with the guys, being able to coach, maybe teach something. We've got the most wonderful position coaches and coordinators in all of college football here with us. But maybe sometimes I can lend an ear, hey, this is something we can do. This is something we're capable of. Maybe if you try this technique and then to see it, I still enjoy that aspect, being able to coach these guys and pouring into them. And then maybe it's a guy that comes up to my office and asks me for advice that has absolutely nothing to do with football. And then maybe I can guide them in the right direction, maybe make a difference in some young man's life. That to me is huge. The things that are a little bit unique are you still gotta go out there and raise money. I don't like asking people for money, but it's certainly given us some wonderful facilities. It's certainly been a huge part of the NIL and what we're capable of doing. But the reality of it, if I had my druthers, it'd just be about pouring into these guys, coaching football and having some fun.
And I think, talking about, being a coach, man, I think it's good. And even being a leader, that you have experience with a lot of different positions, because then you can connect better with the overall team.
Yeah, absolutely. That was one of those things when I interviewed for this job, right, you always hear about these guys, this hot shot coordinator, oh, he's a quarterback guru, or oh, his blitz disguise is on third down, he'd be a great head coach. Well, I think part of that is never playing college football. I've coached almost every position, right? My first year in the NFL was a quarterback guy. I've been a quarterback coach at the FCS level. I've coached defensive line, I've coached offensive line, I've coached linebackers. I've been around it all. I can't wait to be in there involved with our special teams unit. So to me, that's been one of those things. I think ultimately, if you can teach and you can pour into young men, you'll be fine no matter what room you're asked to coach or what you're asked to teach. And so that's one of those things I learned from our staff. I try to get better at my deficiencies and then pour into our guys. And so I think our players ultimately get it, because I can go out there and maybe talk to a DB about a back pedal, and then I can be over there talking to the running back about a certain thing with ball security.
From the West Coast to the 901, the Tigers' top tight end has had quite the journey. We'll sit down with Anthony Lanfear next.
You're watching The Ryan Silverfield Show, presented by AutoZone.
Welcome back to The Ryan Silverfield Show. Anthony Lanfear has emerged as the Tigers' top tight end the last couple of years, but that only came after almost walking away from the game and many bumps on the road on the way there. Lanfear is a Northern Cali guy growing up in the Bay Area, which made it really easy to get into sports at an early age.
My dad was a great football, baseball player. He ended up pursuing baseball and playing in the minor leagues for a little bit. So he always had me interested in sports. Growing up, I played everything: baseball, football, basketball. So I always loved sports, and the Bay Area has such like a rich history in sports, so I always gravitated towards it.
Lanphier, a 49ers fan, gravitated towards playing tight end watching Vernon Davis play for San Fran. Some of those skills also applied to basketball, and there was a time when it looked like the hardwood was where his athletic future would be.
My sophomore year of high school, football was rough. Like, I got a concussion, just kind of lost my love for the game at that point. So I was like, you know what, basketball, I'm just gonna run with that. But like I said, taking that year away from football made me realize, like, wow, I really miss and love football. So
Lanphier returned to the gridiron for his senior season, and after 4 dominant games, had offers from 2 in-state schools, San Diego State and San Jose State. His 5th game that season was the last of his high school career, and it provided one of the craziest examples of conflicting emotions you could ever imagine.
The San Diego State tight end coach was there, like, watching me. I broke my arm after scoring a touchdown. Like, I was having a great game. Break my arm. I was getting carted off the field. He came up to me and offered me a scholarship. Yeah, so it was a pretty, like, crazy moment.
Wow, that's wild.
And the game was at the Kezar Stadium, which is where the Niners played, like, before Candlestick. So it's a pretty crazy environment. It was just a really, like, it was probably one of the best nights of my life, but also just, it was just crazy.
Lanphier recovered and joined the Aztecs for his freshman year, but he only lasted 1 season in the program.
Honestly, it was all me. I just, playing 5 games of varsity football, like, I just wasn't ready. I just say, like, overall, I just wasn't ready physically, mentally, for, like, that D1 grind. And San Diego State had a bunch of great coaches, great resources, all that, but I just knew it was in my best interest just to kind of take a step back and go back to junior college.
And it worked out perfectly. Lanphier transferred to his actual hometown school, the College of San Mateo, a JUCO, in 2020.
You say it's the best decision you ever made.
Yeah.
How come?
Just the relationships I built there, the time that I developed that, like, it changed my life. Like, the coaches there, my head coach, Tim Tolick, is my guy. My OC, Coach Dovenbrough, all of them, like, those are my guys, and they helped me so much just with the physical game, but also just mentally getting me up to speed and just helping me so that wherever I would end up next, I would be successful. So I owe them everything.
So how does a kid from the Bay Area spend, I imagine, all your life in California?
Mm-hmm.
How do you end up in Memphis, Tennessee?
Oh my goodness, I don't even know how. Sometimes I'm just like, wow, I'm in Memphis. But junior college recruiting is a lot different than high school. Like, in high school, you get recruited by kind of like conference schools that are kind of like in your region, so like West Coast schools and stuff. But junior college, you get recruited by a lot of schools, like, based on their position needs. And at the time, Memphis needed a tight end for their room, so they recruited me. And after, like, looking at all my offers and stuff, I was like, this is where I want to go. And
Lanphier arrived on campus in January 2022. His time in the 901 was almost very short-lived.
Not a lot of people know, but I tried to quit my first day.
First day here?
First day here, yeah.
Talk me through that.
So I can laugh about it now, but I get here, it's all gray, like, there's no sun, all the leaves are off the trees. I'm like, dang, like, what did I get myself into? First day, we have workouts. I finished the workouts, but I'm like, wow, like, they killed me. I'm kind of like, I don't know anyone. I'm like dead, like, physically. I'm just like, yeah, I need to go back to California. Like, I'm going through it. So I call my junior college coach, who's my guy. He's like, yeah, just stick it out, you'll be fine. I'm like, nah, I'm good. I call Coach Salem and I call Coach Silverfield. They're both on the road recruiting, so they're not even in Memphis. I'm like, yeah, like, I'm done. I'm going back to California. Bags packed, all that. So they start panicking. They send over, like, some of the people who are, like, in office here to, like, talk me out of it. I'm like, all right. Silverfield ends up coming back to talk me out of it. And honestly, I'm very happy I stayed. Yeah, because it did get better.
Lanphier stuck it out, but he had to be patient. He didn't have a catch the entire 2022 season. Instead, he soaked in everything he could from the coaching staff and the man he was backing up. Caden pre-scored while he had a monster season.
Honestly, for me, like, I didn't really mind it because I knew it would be a learning year. Our offense, I'd say, is pretty hard to learn, but once you learn it, it's great. I just kind of took a backseat and I was like, you know what, whatever they need me to do, I'm gonna get it done. But at pre-scoring, he worked his butt off to get into that position. So honestly, I just try to learn from him, because when you see a guy who's doing that, I mean, there's so much you can learn from him. So I'd say I'm in the position I am now because of him. One, because he left, but two, because he just taught me so much about work ethic and grinding it out, so yeah.
That year as a sponge paid off in 2023 when Lanphier became the starting tight end and immediately established himself as one of Seth Hennigan's favorite targets.
I'd say it's everything. We've gotten so many reps this offseason, just doing extra, playing catch after practice, so much. And honestly, off the field, like, we're really close, so I'd say it's everything. Like, that's my guy, and I feel like we've built a great chemistry.
Lanphier received some national love preseason this year when he was named to the Mackey Award watch list, given to the best tight end in college football.
When you see your name on the Mackey Award preseason list, does that mean anything to you?
It does, not necessarily just because of like the title of it, but I'd say more of just to prove how far I came. Just being a guy freshman year, like really just thinking about like quitting football, and people being like, oh, you're gonna go to junior college and not be anything, you're not gonna end up anywhere. So just to see how far I've came, to start at a great Division I program and to make a list like the Mackey precinct, like, it's amazing to me, so.
Well, I'll take that a step further, just in terms of, you talked about you've been an underdog and you've had these adversities and you've battled through them. How would you sum up the entire journey so far?
I wouldn't trade it for anything. I don't know if I'd want to do it over again just because it's been so tough, but I'm so grateful for it because I wouldn't be the person I am if it wasn't for it. So I wouldn't have wanted it any other way.
If you want proof of the imprint the Grind City has made on the Cali kid, you could find it in fresh ink on his arm.
I mean, I've been here all 3 years, never thought about leaving. This is my last year, so I want something just to commemorate Memphis.
Last year's game against North Texas was a nail-biter. We'll preview the Green Wave coming to Memphis next.
You're watching The Ryan Silverfield Show, presented by AutoZone. Let's take a look at the AutoZone road ahead.
Up next, we know the time, 6:30 or 7. It's North Texas, and they've had a pretty good start to their season.
Yeah, they're doing a fantastic job. Obviously, their record, we know how potent their offense is. We can also look back at last year, going down playing there in Denton. They're very, very capable. It was obviously a 4-quarter battle all the way to the last play of the game. We came out victorious. We're going to have our hands full, and we have a great week of preparation in order to beat North Texas this year.
What's your message going into a game like that? Because we've seen an offense with Navy with a nice, good quarterback, and North Texas has a nice little quarterback as well.
I think one of the biggest things is tempo, right? Just like we saw last week from South Florida, they line up, they play quick, they're accurate, they do a lot of those things. So, it all comes back down to being efficient on defense, right? Can we wrap up? Can we make tackles? Not giving up the explosive play. And then offensively, right, taking what they give us. Last year the run game was effective for us early on. Can we have a consistent run game throughout 4 quarters versus North Texas? And then going up there and line up against that offense and not let them hurt us with the explosives.
When you've got battery trouble, head to AutoZone, America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Tricky, elusive quarterbacks, that seems to be a theme this year. Back with a wrap in just a minute.
You're watching The Ryan Silverfield Show, presented by AutoZone.
Thanks so much for staying up late night and watching. Next week, you'll meet Jonah Gamble. You're going to like that. See you then.
The Ryan Silverfield Show is presented by AutoZone. Got a check engine light? AutoZone will check it for free with the free Fix Finder service. Available at every store. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Conway Services, official heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric partner of Tiger Athletics. Chick-fil-A, we didn't invent the chicken, just the chicken sandwich. RJ Young, technology solutions that power your business. And by Tennessee Lottery, turning dollars into dreams.
This copyrighted telecast is an exclusive presentation of Learfield under the broadcasting rights granted by the University of Memphis. Reuse of this presentation is prohibited without the expressed written consent of the University of Memphis and Learfield.